March 5, 1946, former U.S. Prime Minister Winston Churchill delivers the Iron Curtain speech in the United States, officially kicked off the Cold War. The two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, are battling each other. In particular, the most critical nuclear power competition between the two countries has begun a thrilling national game. June 24, 1948, Soviet Union closes border checkpoint on highway from Hanover to Berlin. Soon all water and land traffic in the West Berlin area under the jurisdiction of the United States and Britain was also cut off. At the same time, more than 300,000 Soviet troops stationed in eastern Germany took on fighting postures. All of Europe is in crisis again. A third world war also seems imminent. In order to combat the arrogance of the Soviet Union, late July 1948, U.S. President Truman orders the deployment of 60 B-29 long-range heavy bombers to strategic air bases in the UK. End of World War II. It was two B-29 long-range heavy bombers that dropped atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. All countries in the world are very afraid of this deadly nuclear weapon. The Soviet Union was no exception. Stalin saw that the United States dispatched bombers, also worried that the United States will drop atomic bombs on the Soviet Union, in order not to anger the United States. May 12, 1949, Stalin ordered the lifting of Berlin, which had been going on for almost a year, blockade. At the same time, in order to confront the United States, Stalin is also stepping up the development of atomic bombs. Only 3 months after the Berlin storm, August 29, 1949, at 7 o'clock in the morning, there was an earth-shattering explosion at the Myskova test site in Central Asia. Mushroom cloud rises. The Soviet Union's first atomic bomb was successfully detonated. With this bang, the U.S. nuclear monopoly is finally broken. Stalin finally has a trump card to compete with the United States. But Stalin didn't get carried away with joy. He realized that only the atomic bomb, not yet a threat to the United States, also stepped up the development of more deadly weapons. November 1, 1952, an experimental hydrogen bomb codenamed Mike exploded at the Vtok Island test site in the Pacific Ocean, with a power of 10 million tons, 500 times more explosive than the Hiroshima-type atomic bomb. Less than a year, the Soviet Union also announced the success of the first bomb clearance experiment. American experts began to worry, thought the Soviet hydrogen bomb could be carried by plane, possibility to be used in actual combat. But the U.S. hydrogen bomb is 6 meters tall and weighs 65 tons, bigger than a truck. Either planes or missiles cannot carry, no practical value. 1953, Stalin died. Soviet knew Khrushchev satisfied with hydrogen bomb. At the same time, he began to think about how to transport this behemoth to the North American continent. Khrushchev understands that huge nuclear weapons can only have actual combat capabilities when combined with longer-range projection tools. Bombs in the air and no means of transport are useless. Just 2 months after the successful hydrogen bomb experiment, the Presidium of the Ministers of the USSR Council approved a plan, putting a hydrogen bomb on a giant missile. The missile will have a range of more than 8,000 kilometers, able to hit the US directly from the USSR. This is the ICBM program. Only then did Khrushchev know that. It turns out that the Soviet Union has been developing a new weapon missile. This is a military plan led by Stalin himself when he was in power. Time back to a day in October in 2014, British Prime Minister Churchill sends personal letter to Stalin. Churchill said in his letter that Germany had fired thousands of mysterious V-2 missiles at Britain from September 8 of that year, causing a large number of casualties. Reconnaissance by the Royal Canadian Air Force. The missiles were designed and developed by the Peenemünde Rocket Center in Germany. It happened to be the offensive area of the Soviet Red Army. Request the Soviet Union to allow British specialists to enter the Red Army offensive area, to gather intelligence on Nazi missiles. Stalin, after reading the letter, to that drone-funded attack, a new weapon capable of flying hundreds of kilometers, very interested. He immediately just said that the relevant departments must get ahead of Western countries. Get this latest technology from Germany. When Soviet experts arrived in Peenemünde, Germany, they found that a large number of German experts had surrendered to the US military with the key design drawings of the V-2 missile. After the Second World War, the Allied victors in Europe were not busy rebuilding after the war. Their busy arms race. that is to grab the advanced materials and special equipment of the expert laboratory of the German missile experiment. Among these victorious countries is the United States, which has been in a state of chasing after me with the Soviet Union for a long time. Soviet experts cry without tears as they watch the experiment where people go to the empty building. The Soviet Union wants to obtain a clear arrow against the United States, and what it lacks is the key swordsmith. Marshal Zhuzhfu, who was in charge of this matter, decided to implement the bread replacement plan. The so-called bread replacement is the unilateral opening of the border in the Soviet area, start all propaganda machines and appeal to the whole of Germany. As long as the Germans involved in the missile work would work for the Soviet Union, Soviet theater can provide adequate rations and excellent jobs. This trick is very small. Those who did not follow the Americans, German experts gathered in the Soviet theater. One after another, in the Soviet Union joined German experts, established a Nordhausen Institute. The first task is to let German experts recall and sort out a complete set of production and assembly process of the Bar-2 missile. Resumption of production of V-Bar-2 missile engines and their parts. Autumn 1947, Soviet Union's first domestic missile, that is, the Soviet P-Bar-1 missile achieved the first projectile, set to reach 270 kilometers. 1949, the Soviet Union with an improved design successfully tested again. The range is twice that of the German Vegan-2 missile, reaching 600 kilometers. However, it is far more than 600 kilometers from the Soviet Union to the United States. The Soviet Union wants to hit the US with missiles. There's also a need to develop weapons with a longer range. When Khrushchev came to power, take over Stalin's missile program. He's very bullish on missiles. On the more powerful giant missile, he firmly believes that missiles are the trump card for winning modern warfare. After that, the Soviet Union began to along a new type of missile capable of hitting the United States. The Continental missile was born in this context. At this time, the United States did not realize the importance of missiles. They feel the missiles are too inaccurate. It may take 20 or even 30 years to build a reliable missile, but soon, reality hits Americans in the face in real time. August 21, 1957, Soviet Union successfully test-fires first Continental-class missile. The Soviet Union used an ICBM to launch a satellite that would allow it to orbit over North America. Although this is a non-hazardous scientific satellite, but Americans are getting scared. They think it's a satellite this time, maybe a multi-ton nuclear bomb next time. In fact, the launch vehicle that launches the satellite is not a real ICBM. Rockets only deliver payloads outside the atmosphere, enter the predetermined track, even if the task is completed. But the purpose of strategic missiles is to attack targets on enemy territory. Therefore, after rushing out of the atmosphere, it is necessary and accurate to hit the target. But American experts at that time did not understand ICBMs. They warned that the gap in the missiles could allow the Soviet Union to attack suddenly, destroy America's strategic power, especially that artificial satellite, which flies over Americans every day, like a giant sword hanging over the United States. This makes Americans suddenly lose their sense of security. It even brought back terrible memories of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Growing up in New York in the 1950s recalls, when participating in drills at school, also heading towards Manhattan to see if the Emperor Valley Tower is still there. American newspapers have launched overwhelming news reports and analysis on this. Airplanes are obsolete. Now is the age of missiles. The Soviets can already build ballistic missiles that can hit any target in the world, from politician's office to ordinary street. People are having a lively discussion. Maybe the Soviet Union will deal a fatal blow to the US. Seeing Americans so anxious, Soviet leader Khrushchev was very satisfied. He believed that even if the Third World War broke out, a few minutes after the war, the victory can be divided with the help of the Chow missile. The winner must be the first Soviet Union with long-range missiles. But only 2 years. Americans are chasing. February 6, 1959, Hercules missile ushered in the first launch. This Chow strike missile has a total length of 31 meters, a maximum diameter of 305 meters, and a launch weight of 0.514 tons. But compared to the nozzle of the Soviet RD-Bar 170 engine, the nozzle design of the US Hercules-1 ICBM is a bit crude, and it can even be said to be a bit violent. In general, Soviet missiles seem to be superior, but the confidence of the Soviets is not as strong as before. Because there are Soviets, some Americans, and maybe some will surpass the Soviet Union in the future. The nuclear weapons competition between the US and the Soviet Union has officially entered a white-hot stage. Next, notice July 1959, Khrushchev's famous kitchen debate with Nixon. Khrushchev seems to stress that the Soviet Union's missiles are stronger than the US. In the following time, Khrushchev touts the might of the Soviet Union. This makes Americans very anxious. So how powerful was the Soviet Union?